No, I'm in search of anything for the moment. Trying to scan these big trees to see if there's perhaps a leopard around or a kill hoisted in a tree somewhere. No luck just yet. Now, Tristan was looking for a leopard, in fact. He has found, not a leopard, but he's found Signal. So let's go and see what he's up to.
Well, our signal is back and is working, but our comms are terrible, so I'm battling a little bit to hear what Lou's saying, but it's okay, we'll figure it out and manage. We're still looking around for these tracks for Shadow. She literally has walked every single road I've driven so far in Arathusa, all after the rain, so she's had a very busy night. She was a very busy girl last night, which means that it's been a tough time for her. There's obviously something in the air, maybe the male that was around has caused her to walk so much and to try and join this male and try and keep it away from the cub that she has. It could also be after the rain. Often you'll find that leopards will go out and scent mark, and maybe if she's got a cub, you know, she doesn't want any other leopard to sneak in here. There is a lot of pressure from other leopards. You've got lots of little young females hanging around at the moment, so that's maybe why she's been out and she's been scent marking and moving around. It's incredible though how much she has moved. I'm quite shocked at the number of tracks that I have seen this morning. Now, let's see, we've got a little spider web on the lens, so let me just get that off for you, dog. So, unfortunately, some of these roads haven't been driven this morning, and we get the bark spiders that come out at night, and they start to construct these webs, and so we get them across the lens sometimes. So if you see a little cloth wiping there, I do apologize, just to get rid of all of that. So those bark spiders are quite... So during the day, there's no web, nothing. You can drive here, and then at night they come out and they construct this web. And it's a really intricate web very, very quickly. And once they've done that, they catch the food items that they need, feed during the night. You see that she's walked there, isn't she, Darby? It literally, as you can see, every single road. I have not turned onto a road since I've been on Arathusa and not found a female leopard track yet. So to see where she's gone is quite tough. But yeah, and then they'll consume whatever they need to during the night, and then in the mornings they start to consume their own web. So because the web is basically a protein that they're utilizing to spin that silk, they then consume it again and reabsorb some of that nutrient so that they can then spin the web again at night, which is pretty incredible. So bark spiders are one of my favorite spiders just for that reason. It must be such a pain to have to construct your web every single day of your life. It's quite something, actually. Now I wonder where Shadow has gone. I've checked that den site close to Red Dam, no sign of her there. And I've checked all around with Tundalukapan, but like I say, she's moved all in these areas, so she could be anywhere here, and it's not a very friendly area for tracking. The tracks, if they go into any of these thickets, are going to be really tough to see, so we're going to try and see if we can find something. Now I know Lou was trying to contact me there, and I heard her, so Lou, I can hear you, but it is very, very broken up. I wonder if it's not worth just checking this storm drain pipe on Zebra Drive that she used, and that's obviously where James actually saw the cubs. So the one and only sighting we have had of those cubs was in that storm drain pipe, and she's heading kind of in that direction. So it might be worth just having a little look and checking and seeing if potentially she's there somewhere. Let's have a look and go and see. I see her tracks do turn off this way. I wonder if anybody's actually been here. It doesn't look like anyone's driven here this morning. But now I see her tracks look like they're coming back at me again. So it looks like she's gone here and come back. Maybe this is where the cubs are, and she's now gone there and come back and been able to suckle them, and then is off again. So, Lauren, I didn't get the whole question, but as far as what I did get was that you wondering how do I know that these tracks belong to Shadow. Well, one is the area that we're in. This is the center of Shadow's territory. This is where she's been. This is where we see her. So for me, that's always that. 2 is, out of all the females that we have in this area, she has one of the smallest feet that we have. So they're tiny little female tracks. So that's another reason. And then just the way that she's walking, the way that she's going into certain places, they're all signature shadow hideouts. So around Red Dam, those areas, that's the only place that really Shadow goes to. Nobody else inhabits those areas. I've never seen any of the other leopards. There's been young females that have transitioned through, but none that have walked around like this and marked territory and gone to these places regularly. So it can only be her in my eyes. I might be wrong, but it could be. Now this is where the den site is, or has been now. I've seen her last litter of cubs. I saw them here, and she uses, there's a little pipe on the edge of the road that she uses, and so the little cubs can crawl into the pipe, and then she can stay out on the side here and watch what's going on. But this is where she utilizes. But as you can see, there is no cat home today, so we're going to carry on just in case the little cubs are inside, because if the cubs are inside, I've parked directly over them, so I don't want to stress them out and make them feel like they're under attack. So we're going to carry on and keep moving. But I saw some of her tracks going back the opposite direction again, so I don't know if she's maybe just, like I said, come here to check on cubs and then carried on again, or she could be trying to find this male track that we keep seeing as well. To me it should be Tingana, but it could be different males. There have been a couple young males hanging around that we don't know. So there's been this River Rocks male that was seen very briefly and on a few occasions around Buffelshoek, and then came south down this area and then down towards the Londolozi boundary. So he comes from Mala side. And then there's been another young male that I don't know if anybody's identified yet, but he's also been hanging around. We've also had varying sightings of that Flat Rock male, so there's a number of different young males. So it could be one of them that she's just trying to lure out, and that's why she's walked so much, is just to try and find that male and try and then shift him out of there and keep her cubs safe. I really hope that she did manage and that the cub unfortunately hasn't been killed. Pradeep, the leopards in the Sabi Sands, none of them have radio collars anymore. There was obviously one that did for a while, which was Sindile, Shadow's previous cubs, or last surviving cub. And he had it only because he ate a rabid dog. And so they treated him, and then they had to look after him for a while and monitor his progress and see whether or not they managed to get rid of this rabies virus. And so he had the collar for a bit of time, but that's the only one that I know of. There might be one or two that come in from the Kruger every now and then. I know when I was at Lion Sands, the Imbavala male at one stage had a collar. His is now off. They've taken that off. And then the Porcupine, I think it's Porcupine Ridge or something like that, that female, she's also had a collar, but I think she's still got hers. I'm not 100% sure, but that's a Kruger Park research project. It's got nothing to do with the Sabi Sands, just we every now and then get an animal that comes in from that side into the Sabi Sands. But theoretically, the Sabi Sands, there should be no collared females. We don't collar our cats or chip them or anything like that. They are only found by using our feet or our vehicles, so which is quite nice. It's a good thing to have cats that are not collared, because it's just, you know, most of the operations in this area are photographic safaris, and so a lot of the photographers don't want an animal with a collar on it. So even though I know it's research, they just don't want it. And the lucky thing is also in the Sabi Sands is because generally most of our leopards are quite relaxed, that we spend a lot of time with them and we make a lot of observations, that the research actually doesn't need, the researchers, sorry, should I say, don't actually need collars, because they just consult with the guides and they talk to the guides and they can get a pretty good idea of where everybody is, the movement patterns of these animals, and how they go about their daily business. So from that point of view, a collar almost becomes redundant in this area. It's really good for places where leopards are a little bit more scarce. So if you go into places like the Kalahari Desert, where yes, female leopards holding a 60,000 hectare territory, which is pretty much the size of the Sabi Sands, then it's going to be very difficult to monitor her daily progress, and then a collar comes in handy for researchers to be able to see where she's moving, how she's doing, what she's doing, so that's a lot better. Just checking all these little drainage areas. These are all good places for a leopard to spend time. You can see there's a bit of water here, so a leopard can come drink, and little muddy banks as well. So perfect place for them. And this is straight downstream of where that other den site is that I was showing you. So it's not a far-fetched situation for Shadow to actually come back this way and come and drink here. But alas, no sign of any of her tracks, so I'm not quite sure where she's gone. And like I say, it's a very difficult area to follow her tracks in. We're in these thickets and long grass, and you know, she could be lying not even 10 meters off the grass, off the road, and we wouldn't even know that she's there. It's that thick where we are now. So we're just going to have to hope for a little bit of luck and that she pops out onto a road somewhere that we can drive. Right, now we're carrying on to our search, and we're going to keep looking. And I hear Lou asking me to go across to Tayla McCurdy on her bushwalk. I'm not sure what she's got, but I'm sure it will be very interesting.
It is indeed fascinating, and I hope that you are all enjoying staring at the sky. It's one of my favorite things to do, morning, night, during the day. Looking up at the sky is wonderful. Now, straight away, you may notice those beautiful crepuscular rays beaming out of the clouds. And it's really interesting. You don't normally see crepuscular rays at any other time of the day other than sort of dusk and dawn. And that's where the word crepuscular comes from a Latin word, crepusculum, which describes twilight, the twilight period. So we have 2 twilight periods every single day, and that is absolutely spectacular. Now, of course, it is getting quite late in the morning for us, well, because we've been up since 4, but slowly but surely all that light will eventually disappear. And if you have just tuned in, welcome. My name is Tayla, and well, I'm on bushwalk, as you've seen. We're not in a car like Tristan and Byron, and I've got Herbie and Craig at my side, keeping me company and providing much entertainment this morning. But off we go. Let's go and see what else we can find. It is very quiet in terms of insects and things out here at the moment, and it is just purely because of the weather. Other than the spiders at the moment, which we haven't found any more of, yes, that's really been it. I did see one little caterpillar, but then we wanted to come and get a better view of the sky, so we walked a little bit further down the road. So I shall keep checking trees. Where are the bush willows? There seems to be lots and lots of caterpillars still on the large fruited bush willows, so we'll see if we can find them. So I apologize if I don't stare directly at you. This is how we have to find the insects, is by looking down onto the ground. Wealtheria, what have you got for us? Oh my goodness, come and look at this thing. I don't even know what it is, but we'll have a look at it anyway. There's so many things out here. Is it a praying mantis? Oh, I've got a piece of grass in my eye. Can you see that? No, it's not. That is a bizarre looking thing. Isn't that amazing? Craig, I'm going to turn... No, insect. Look at us. How's that? Is that better? Oh, I think I know. It's an assassin. I'm just about to say it's an assassin bug. Look at the proboscis. So it must be one of the grass assassins again, a different color variation. I do know exactly what this is. Goodness gracious, I talk nonsense sometimes. And that's what happens, is you just got to get down onto your knees and have a closer look sometimes. And when I first saw it, I actually thought from the coloration, maybe it's a whip scorpion. But it wasn't, because they're always in those brightly sort of red and black patterns. But straight away, that very long proboscis that curls underneath back towards its belly, says to me, I'm just trying to position it so that you can all see nicely, and apologies, my nails are dirty because I was digging in the sand. Sorry, it's not cooperating, but that is the most spectacular assassin bug I think that I've ever seen, and it is indeed a grass assassin. Isn't that phenomenal? Well, it's on a Wealtheria plant, so maybe it's a Wealtheria assassin. Now, they're ones you don't want to get. I don't want to get bitten by one of them. Now, it's moving off. Sorry, it's very difficult to, of course, see it, but a quick glimpse, and maybe you captured some screenshots in case people who are just joining us now, and you can share it with them. But, yes, kissing bugs, of course, are similar to assassin bugs too, very similar, and you can pass on that Chugger's disease, which is not great. But anyways, it seems as though we've gone from one animal that causes a lot of death amongst insects and particularly caterpillars. Let's go across to Byron, who's found himself a crime scene.
I have indeed, Taylor. Now have a look at this, everyone. a bunch of feathers. I'm actually going to jump out quickly and let's see what exactly it is that has happened here. See if we can work it out. Right, let's first try work out what it was that was attacked or murdered here. And it appears as if it was a dove. Judging by the feathers, I think this was a dove. That's exactly what I think has been caught over here. But now I'm trying to see. Let's see if we can find any tracks around here. Was it caught by a cat perhaps? Or was it caught by another bird of prey? It's very difficult to see any tracks here. I don't see any tracks. Hang on here. You know what? It may have been. Here's a little track just over here. It's very, very faint. I don't think you'd be able to see it. And this looks like possibly a genet, a little genet track. Let's just see if there's another one around here. Yeah, you know what? I do think that perhaps a genet might have caught this dove, which can happen. It's tough to say that. It's tough to say, unless this was a. Sure, you can see there's with the rain, the substrate is quite hard, so it's very difficult to see a clear track, especially from a small little animal like a genet. So that's what I think, though. It looks like that's what's happened, unless the other thing is maybe a genet was just walking along here and maybe a bird of prey had killed this dove a little bit later. But there's very little left. So that's why I think maybe something larger predator ate or caught that dove and ate the dove. Didn't look like a cat track. Sometimes the African wildcats, they are very good hunters, and they'll catch birds that are sitting on the ground. They'll go and stalk them and ambush them. And occasionally they jump and pull them out of the air. It's amazing, especially a little serval. Serval would do that very, very easily. But that I don't think was a serval track. I just want to double check something quickly. Just let me show you this little. There we go. That's the little genet that I possibly think may have caught this this dove. If you have a look at those little tracks, very small little tracks, only 20 centimeters in size, elongated tracks, small little tracks. So that's what it looks like to me. I'm not entirely sure that's what it does look like. And they do feed on birds, but they generally feed on a lot of insects and that. But a genet, they have been known to catch birds. Everything from, let's just read here quickly, also little reptiles and amphibians, so little frogs and that. So quite a wide variety of food in their diet. But interesting, wonderful to see something like that, something different. Well, I'm going to continue on, see what else we can find, and while I do that, let's head over to Tristan and get an update from him.
Well, we did have an intrepid explorer baboon on top of one of these dead trees, but he came down and ran away. Not ideal. It's one of those mornings, I think. The good news is that we've sorted out our comms, so I can hear Lou crystal clear. She's busy singing in my ear, and everything is perfect, so that is good news. Now, I believe Byron had a bloody crime scene from a genet. It's amazing how efficient genets are at feeding off those birds. They kind of get all those feathers off, and it's very, very, very interesting to see their feeding. I've seen quite a few times where you come across these kind of feather-strewn roads, and the genets are normally to blame for that. Now, we're still checking around for Shadow, but I don't harbour much hope for her, because the areas that she's walking around is just, it's so dense and so thick. that, like I say, if she walks 5 meters off the road, even if I want to try and get towards where she is, it's going to be a real struggle. She's in all of those drainage lines, and even during the drought, I remember following Karula and the cubs through there, and it was near impossible in the drought. Now you can imagine now, with all the growth that we've got, you can't see the stumps, you can't get around certain trees, so it really is a bit of a mess inside there. So for her, a really good place to be. It's a perfect leopard habitat, and that's why she loves it there. But for us, not so ideal. I was hoping that we'd catch her on a road or by a pan. The other problem is that we've had so much rain recently that there's so much water everywhere. It's not driving her to a certain place. So, you know, if it was during a drier period, we would find that she'd be driven straight towards like a red dam where she'd have to go and drink and spend time, because that would be the water resource, and prey animals would also spend time there. Now it's a little bit different because everything's spread all over the place. They're not spending nearly as much time around water as they normally would. Well, it's a very strange day today. We've got this kind of cloud cover. It's not really that windy, and that's probably why the cloud cover is staying up and staying around. You know, hopefully we get a bit of wind during the day that just blows this all away. But even on the bird side of things, it's been a little bit quiet. Although, talking of that, let's have a look there. There's a bird I can see. Looks like a grey go-away bird. There we go. Rebecca from Australia, you wanted to see one, and there it is. It is very far away, so it's not the best picture of it. It's also got its head tucked behind its wing, so it looks a bit nondescript at the moment. But we shall be patient and wait for it to put its head back up. So what it's doing is it's busy looking after itself. It's cleaning up after that storm of maybe some of the feathers were blown around and everything's a little bit out of place. So it's just to clean everything up again and spread those preening oils through those feathers to keep them in good condition. But what you can see, and the reason why we know it's a grey go-away bird all the way from here, is that very long tail and then that crest that comes up. So you can see every now and then the head comes up and there's this little grey crest that appears. Now, against this very, very dark grey sky, it's difficult to get that grey coloration. It almost looks like a black silhouette there, but that bird is a deep sort of slate grey, and then you can see that very short, robust beak that they use for picking of fruits off trees. It's about to become a little bit harder for them. There is always fruits around of some description, so they always find something, but the summer is a time of plenty if you're a fruit eater. There's lots and lots of things around. There was those marulas, there was the white berries from the white berry bush, and multiple others. Buffalo thorns had a few on, so these guys would have had a real field day over the last few months, and now things are going to become a little bit harder, but they'll be alright. They will survive. As we know, they're quite common out here, so we see them quite regularly. Alright, little grey go-away bird. You can see how far away he was. He's going to leave him, let him carry on his morning preening, and we're going to carry on too. Now, I wonder where the male lions went. Oh, talking about male lions, there's tracks for male lions right here. I didn't even see them, Dave. So if we have a look on the road there, you can see them there, Dave. Can you see? Hold on, let me go forward for you. I'm also going to make place for this vehicle that's coming, but we'll just show you quickly the male lion track. Do you see it there, Dave? There it is. So that is one from the Birmingham Boys, which would have been from last night. So I wonder where they've ended up. Maybe we should follow these, although these don't look that fresh. Maybe these were from the day before when we were trying to track lions, and they came down this way. So we're going to carry on and see where they go. They go back towards the airstrip, so we'll go and check around that area and see what's happening. But I'm going to do a little loop around just to make sure first, and make sure that they haven't turned anywhere else. The Birmingham males like to walk a lot, and they like to go into Hoffman, so we'll go and check in that area. Now I'm just going to say hello to one of the vehicles quickly. Morning, Willies. How are you, Info? You well? Good. Justin, how are you, man? You well, bud?
Good, and you?
Very well, thanks. Hello, everybody.
You on 4.
Yeah.
Now it's going to go to 3.
Cool. Okay, sure.
I'll get you a message.
Cool, I'll be just hanging around. It's chilled. Cool. Cheers, guys. Enjoy. There's also a couple of baboon tracks from our baboon. Now, it was quite funny when we had the baboon just now. It was up on this tree, this dead tree, And it was kind of sitting there, and it had its one leg up, and it looked very much like Brent when he climbs a tree, just sitting there holding on. And then it, for some reason, decided that the tree was not nearly as risky as it should be, and started to shake the tree that it was in. It was one of those big dead trees, and the whole tree started swaying, and it looked like the baboon was having a right old good time. So I'm quite sad that he came down and we didn't get to see him. It would have been quite funny to watch, but it was... Don't think he'll ever live it down either. Everybody always gives him a bit of stick about it. Now, James is also quite the tree climber, although he's far more successful. James seems to have grip of a spider. He's got those little hairy sort of claws, and he's able to kind of latch on and stay onto a tree. He doesn't seem to suffer the same fate that Brent does. But it is not the most... James, apparently you're in FC. James, I mean it as a compliment. I don't mean that you're a spider. I'm just saying that you are very good at climbing trees. I did enjoy James once. He climbed into this tree and he was sitting there, and a Nyala walked past, and he was sort of swaying in the breeze and told the Nyala that there was nothing to see and that the Nyala must just carry on, that he is perfectly fine. It was a very funny scene to watch. You were there, Dave, weren't you? Yes, exactly. Dave was filming it, and it was very, very funny. I'm actually not sure how James even fitted into that tree, to be honest. It was quite a small little terminalia, and it also seemed to be much like that baboon. It was kind of swaying in the breeze a little bit. So I'm quite glad James didn't hurt himself. It seems that the presenters are a lot more resilient than our cam-ops at the moment. Our cam-ops have a habit of damaging feet. So we've had Dave, who's had his foot problem. Brian had a foot problem. VM had an upset stomach. Craig had tick bite fever. We've got to look after our cam-ups. I think it's time to wrap you guys in cotton wool. What do you think, Dave? No? Okay, cool. Alright guys, well, we're going to carry on looking around and see what we can find, and while we do, let's go across to Byron and see if he's emerged from Cheetah Plains, or where he is, and what he's up to, and what his plans are for the morning.
See, Tristan, my trick is to not let you know where I am. I'll just appear randomly. So we on our way back towards Djuma. We didn't have any luck around Cheetah Plains or Chitwa. We have found a racing snail, the giant land snail, crossing the road, moving very, very slowly. Nice to see them. Now, Tristan, I have been told that I need to tell you that VM has never had a foot problem, so he is one cam-ops who has not had a foot problem. The only one apparently. Yeah, well, I suppose being out here, you pick up little injuries here and there. I can hear one of those button quails. Let's see if it and Carrichain button quail. Now it's stopped, obviously. As soon as I hear it, then it just stops. Alright, well, I'm not going to wait for the snail to cross the road. We may be here a while. I'm going to carry on and see if anything has decided to stick its head out. Laura, you wanted to know what the track of a giant land snail looks like. Let's have a look. Let me see if I can show you, Laura. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of moisture underneath the land snail, and it's just basically a. I mean, you can't see anything there. But there's just a moisture trail actually that is left behind. You can see there's a little line over there. Let me just quickly jump out and show you. But there you can see it quite nicely. And this trail comes all along here, and it's just moisture from underneath the snail that's left behind, almost like a a slime or, yeah, a liquid substance which is left behind. And that's all that you will see. And that'll probably dry up fairly soon. Strange creatures, very, very strange creatures. Alright. Amanda! Did you see something? Oh, the lark right here. There we go, monotonous lark. Lovely to see it and hear it calling. Now, Amanda, you wanted to know what my tip of the day was. Yes, I suppose I need to get back into that, don't I? Byron's tip of the day for a safari. There it goes. There it goes. Tip of the day. Sure, Amanda, I've been caught off guard here. I need to think, what can a tip of the day be? And I'll need to get back into it and think about it. I think tip of the day, don't forget mosquito repellent. I think that's one that, I mean, fortunately when you do come out here, when you are at the lodges, a lot of these lodges provide you with mosquito repellent spray or a cream that you can rub on, but always put mosquito repellent on. You know, a lot of guests always ask me, do we take malaria medication or anti-malarial drugs or anything like that? We don't. Not living out here, because you can't take it for long periods of time, so we don't take it all. But we generally try and spray ourselves in the evenings just with mosquito repellent to try and keep the mosquitoes at bay. But my mistake, not yesterday, the day before, I was in the bush and I didn't spray enough on, or I didn't actually spray on at all, and I got bitten quite a few times by mosquitoes. And generally the mosquitoes don't bite me, but I've got a few little itchy bites. So always remember mosquito repellent or just spray, and it's mainly your legs, to be honest, because often the mosquitoes fly quite low to the ground, and if you're standing around, if you've stopped for sundowners or anything like that, or sitting at a table, they fly underneath the table and they'll bite your ankles or your legs. So spray your legs, that's the most important thing, or just wear long pants in the evenings. That's the tip of the day. Alright, now Tayla's been walking around and she's been finding a lot of interesting little creatures, a lot of spiders. Let's head back to her and see what she has managed to find this time.
The only thing we've been finding today is many spiders, and well, it's interesting. We're having a spider day today. Now, if you have just tuned in again, welcome, and we'll catch you up on all the things that you've missed. But we've been seeing lots of spiders, and we'll show you some. But my name is Tayla, and I'm on bushwalk with Craig and Herbie. But let me show you another fascinating looking spider that we've managed to come across. How's that for you, Craig? Is that good? Isn't that beautiful? I actually want to tilt it down for you, Craig. Sorry, let me bend it without damaging the web. Look at the markings that it has on its back. Beautiful cream color with a dark chocolate brown. That is absolutely gorgeous. Now, this is a different type of a spider. It's not constructing big webs like the ones we've seen already. It's utilizing this leaf as a bit of shelter. So I can only imagine that this particular spider is actively hunting its prey. It's really beautiful, and I'm wondering if we get lucky. There's a whole lot of flies buzzing about at the moment. If they'd be able to... Oh, right. What we're going to do is we're going to go across to Byron, who's got a cuckoo, but we'll see you just now.
I do indeed. I just wanted to show you the African cuckoo, everyone. This is great. It's sitting still for us, and they usually don't do this. They often fly away quite quickly. And I thought that most of these cuckoos had left already. I haven't heard a lot of them for a while. I saw a Levailant's cuckoo yesterday and this morning. But this is the African cuckoo. So nice to still see it. It hasn't left us just yet. All the cuckoos do migrate. So this one will migrate fairly soon. And just quickly, interesting, we know that the cuckoos are brood parasites. So they'll lay their eggs in other birds' nests, and the African cuckoo will parasitize a fork-tailed drongo. And then it will lay its eggs in there, and then the drongo will raise the chicks. And the adult cuckoos don't have anything to do with raising the chicks. But what a wonderful view of a cuckoo. You can see that orange beak with the black tip, and then the barring across the breast of this cuckoo. Very distinct markings of the African cuckoo, and that grey head. Well, that is wonderful. I'm so glad I got to show you a cuckoo quickly. Let's head back to Tayla on the bushwalk, and I'll see what else we can find.
So we're still looking at our friend the spider over here. And I did a little bit further digging while you went to have a look at the African cuckoo with Byron. And it's amazing that there's still a couple that are lurking about, but they're not calling anymore. Is that this is a great plant to live on. It's a Wiltheria, as I'm sure most of you are so used to seeing. We've been showing them quite often now over the last few months. And look what I found down here. And I think this is why it is living on this Wiltheria. Can you see the caterpillar? Now, there are a couple of these Wiltherias around here that are absolutely covered in these little acria caterpillars, which we've sort of worked out, or we think that that's what they are. So this would be a very easy prey species for that spider to catch. It doesn't really, I don't think, for a caterpillar, need too much stealth. Caterpillars don't exactly move very quickly. And while a spider has got phenomenal camouflage and also can move a lot quicker than this little fella. So isn't that cool? That's probably why it's decided, well, we'll live on the Wiltherias for a while. We'll make use of the caterpillars until they disappear, and then I'll have to go and live somewhere else. I just think that's amazing, though, how on one plant you've got flies. There's also a fly. Craig, can you see it? Just, there we go, just near where that cat, I'm going to point the leaf towards it. Beautiful looking flies, yellow, and almost has a couple of black. Oh my goodness, right, the insects are taking a sidestep. Let's go across to Tristan, who actually has something that may eat insects.
We do. We've got a whole family of jackal. Now, this is the most jackal I've seen in a long time. So this is really, really cool. There's 4 of them in total, and these are side-striped jackals, and they're just off the airstrip at Arathusa. And it's a really, really cool sighting of the 4 of them. So really, really happy that they're here. Now, they seem to be cruising around and just generally looking like they're up to no good. I don't know where they're going or what they're doing, but they've been running around here, and they gave the impalas a bit of a fright for a little bit. So, oh, and there they go behind the bush. But aren't they amazing? Like I say, unfortunately the jackal numbers within this area really took an absolute pounding because we had a breakout of rabies, and the rabies is very, very, very infectious, particularly to things like jackals. You can see, look at how they form these groups together, and they're very social. They touch one another, and it's spread through the jackal population, and the jackal numbers have declined. We used to see a lot more also of the other species of jackal, the black-backed jackal, and then for some reason their numbers declined, and these side stripes then moved in and took over, and you see the side stripe now far more than we do the black-backs. You can see where they get their name from. They got that white stripe down the side. Now this one's got a bit of a funky stripe. It's not the way it should be. That white should go all the way through towards the hip area, but it goes over the back and onto the other side. Oh, and it's just too much for the day. We've just got to scratch the shoulders before we carry on moving. I like jackals. They've got so much character. They're such interesting little animals. And you can see in the foreground there a little Senegal lapwing as well. But I wonder where they've come from, because I've seen these jackals around every now and then when we were doing the tests with... We saw one jackal, but I don't know where these young ones have come from. I mean, these must have been around for most of the summer but it seems that they've actually been very, very well hidden. So well done, parents. You did a very good job at hiding them, because I've spent a lot of time on the Arathusa airstrip over the last 6 months, and I had not seen those little puppies at all. So they must have been somewhere close by and just being hidden by the parents, which is really, really amazing. So isn't that a very cool sighting? I know it's been quiet for cats on Catterday, but to have 4 jackals is really very, very special. I haven't seen a jackal, I don't think, since I've been with Safari Live, other than when we were doing the testing. So really, really good to see them. Nice one, Darby. You've done a great job there. Now, I'm going to just try and see, actually, while we're here, let's have a look at these Senegal lapwings as well. Right, so the Senegal lapwings are sitting very nicely. Now, these birds are not the most common bird in the Sabi Sands. In fact, the only real place that I've seen good numbers of Senegal lapwings is up here in the north. I have seen them in other parts of the Sabi Sands, but not in the same numbers that we see them up here. For some reason, we see lots of them up here, and they really are quite a pretty bird with that very white chest, and then, white breast area and rump, and then that grey chest, and then that little white above the beak makes them really very, very cool. Now in the distance I can hear some zebras calling as well. Seems to be all happening on Arathusa airstrip. Dave, we should have come here earlier. Now for those of you who have just joined us, you might be wondering who I'm talking to when I say Dave. Well, Dave is my cameraman, and my name is Tristan, so very, very warm welcome to those of you that have just joined us. And like I say, we're just coming up to Arathusa airstrip just to have a look around and see what there is out here. We had the jackals that were moving around, we've got the birds, there's some zebras alarm calling, well, not alarm calling, but calling behind us, and probably having a little tussle together. So I might just turn around and see if we can't see those zebras. They are making quite a racket behind me, so... But I'm really very chuffed with our jackals. It's been a long time, and they're such cool little animals. I wish we could see them more often and spend a lot more time with them. They are such feisty little things, and they are interesting in what they feed off. They go after all kinds of things. They scavenge. These side-striped jackals, from what my experience is with them in this particular part of the world, is that these side-striped jackals are not nearly as prone to scavenging as the black-backed jackals. These guys tend to do a lot more of their own hunting, so they'll hunt small little rodents, birds, the eggs of birds, so they do quite a bit of hunting of their own. Now, I just want to see something, because I can see a whole bunch of Impala. Pradeep, jackals are indeed residents. They are always here. This pair of side-striped jackals, the first time I saw them here on the Arathusa airstrip was in 2011, and actually we can see them. They're all busy resting. Can you see them there? So they're sitting down now in that little open clearing. There they are. You hear the zebras in the background as well? Now a zebra call is one of my favorite calls, because when I was a kid, I used to watch lots of documentaries and spend lots of time in the bush with my grandparents, and I always used to watch these documentaries of lions chasing zebra, and that was always the soundtrack that they used on those documentaries. So that sound of the zebra just always reminds me of my youth and times in the bush and excitement, and so when I hear them calling like that, I don't know why, it just reminds me of good times. But back to the sort of territorialness of the jackals. They are very territorial. They'll chase other jackals away should they come anywhere close and try and kind of oust them. So they do have defined territories. And like I say, these guys have been here for quite a while. What I'm going to try to do, it seems like they've gone to sleep. So I'm going to just try to see if we can maybe not sneak up a little bit closer so that we can get a really good view of them. They seem to be fairly resting, in a resting state. So that 3 of them are lying down. There's only 1 that's standing up, so I'm just going to try and get a little bit closer. It's not every day we see them, so if we can spend a little bit of time with them, that'll be absolutely perfect. Isn't this cool, Dave? And look how relaxed they are as well. So it's a nice thing about having animals near an airstrip, is that generally they are quite relaxed because of the noise of the planes. They get used to the planes coming down and landing, and they kind of get used to that sort of noisy movement. And so when a car comes along, a car is not nearly as scary. Look at that. It's amazing. You can see the little white tip of the tail. That's a little following mechanism, so when they're running through the bush, that they can see one another. So you'll find that they're much like the wild dogs, and the wild dogs also have that white tail. And there they go, bounding off. A jackal running is the coolest thing ever. They have that little trot. And there goes one of the younger ones. You can see that's one of the youngsters. It's still very young in the face. Oh, some grass seeds on the leg. I think they're going to go and join the adult. The adult is just behind the bush there. So it looks like they've all come together for grooming. So I'm just going to roll slightly forward. Let's see now. Come on. There we go. There's the adult. You can see the adult's a little bit grayer in the face and a little bit tatty ears. Jacqueline, you're saying this is the first time you've seen the jackals on safari live, and I know that we don't see them very often at all. It's incredible, particularly during the day. Sometimes we spot them at night, but during the day we haven't. I can't remember the last time any of us had a jackal sighting during the day. So it's really, really exciting to see, and it's really encouraging that this pair has managed to raise these two to almost adult, and that they are being successful. It's really good news, and hopefully the jackal population will start to rise again, and we'll start to see them more and more. Isn't that a sweet little face? So that's one of the older ones. This is the one that's got the funny stripe on the side that goes over its back rather than along towards its bum. So I'm not sure if this is the male or the female. We don't see them that much that I actually am able to recognize male or female, but it's one of them. And you can see the two little puppies. You can see the younger faces that they've got. They really are beautiful animals. And you can imagine how tough it must be for these guys out here. They're having to deal with so many other predators. The Sabi Sands, even though we haven't seen many cats recently, has a lot of cats in it. So lots of leopard, lots of lion that they have to deal with. But probably the biggest problem that they have in this particular area is the number of hyenas. So we're now in the western side, and we're in the area for the Elephant Plain Simambili clan. And that clan is massive, and they roam all over the place here. And they'll try and outcompete these jackals for food items. So that's probably why these size-striped jackals in this area do very little scavenging, because the hyenas just muscle them off everything before they even get a look in. And that's why they tend to hunt a lot more. So James, you're wondering when the jackal pups will go independent. Well, it's normally at about, in my experience that I've had with them, is about a year old. So that's normally when they go, and I would imagine that these pups that we see here were born, I would say, just judging by their size, about a year. They must be close to a year by now, so fairly shortly they're going to go off on their own, and they're going to then live a life of solitary until they can find a pair. And once they pair, they'll pair together for life. So a jackal forms a monogamous relationship. They're not like a lot of the other predators that will just mate with any male or female. They form a pair together, and they stay together for their whole life. So when they break apart from their parents, they're going to have to go and find themselves a mate and a territory, and then they'll set up that territory there. And it's going to be interesting because obviously in this area there's not that many of them around, so they're going to probably have to travel quite far until they find the nearest mate, which will be a journey full of danger, and they'll have to really keep their wits about them if they are to survive. But undoubtedly the parents would have taught them quite a bit. Oh, Impala almost ran into all of them. Ginny, yes, the jackals do scent mark. You'll find them scent marking, so they'll basically do much like what dogs will do. They'll go and cock a leg somewhere and urinate on varying places. So on the edges of roads, on bushes, they urinate there, and then they also defecate around. So you'll find that in any situation where you've got a territorial animal and a paired animal that stays together for life, then generally they set up their territory, and if they have a territory, then they have to use some sort of chemical signature to protect their boundaries, because they can maybe be on the southern side of their boundary, and then on the northern side another one comes in, and they can't see each other, and they then think, well, territory is open, and that northern stranger stays. But if there's a chemical signature there, then that one comes in and knows, okay, hang on, there's a territorial male and female here, and either he's going to risk trying to take over that territory and fight with the male, or he's going to then move on and try and find somewhere else. So chemical signatures are really important in territorial animals, and literally every single territorial animal will scent mark in some way, shape or form. But isn't this amazing that they're so relaxed as well? I can't believe that they're sitting here and spending so much time with us. Generally our jackal sightings are these brief little encounters where the jackal just bolts across the road and they're gone. So for us to be able to see these jackals just sitting and resting is really, really very, very nice. Now, Tim, you're wondering if jackals are part of the canine family. So they, as far as I know, they are part of the canine family. I'll have to check it and make 100% sure, but as far as I know, they are. Let me get my book out and have a look quickly. But they should be. They are about as dog-like as you can get. Although we've learnt that these kind of things, you can't be too careful with hyenas. Hyenas are obviously nowhere near what a dog. So I'm just quickly having a look now. Sorry, my book got all wet, so the pages all stuck together, so I want to just try and slowly separate them without damaging them, but I think I've already done that, so it's not ideal. But look at their camouflage while I'm looking in my book. You can see their camouflage is quite something, isn't it? They're able to just blend into the environment so, so well. Indeed, the jackals are part of the canine family. They have a canid start to their scientific name, so they are indeed. But the camouflage of these guys is really quite something. If they lie down flat, if they had to put their head down and flatten their ears, it would be really difficult for you to spot them. They've got those perfect colors and lots of sort of broken patterns on them with the whites and grays and tawny colors, and so they really do blend in very, very well. So if you're an unsuspecting mouse or an impala that's about to approach, look at this. Let's see what happens if the impala chases them. Just go out a little bit, Darby. There we go. You can see the impala. There it comes. Look. Now, I think the impala is quite curious as to what's going on here. A jackal will be very dangerous to a baby impala, but to a big adult male impala like that, there's no chance. But look at this. We've got friends. Impala is making friends with the jackals. Isn't this amazing? You can see the one jackal is lying right down in front of the impala's nose there. And look at the impala sniffing it. That's incredible. Isn't that amazing? That was bound to happen. So the young jackal lost its nerve and the impala got a bit of a fright. But look at this. Isn't this amazing? The impala is probably curious. Maybe it's like us. It hasn't seen jackals in a while and is very unsure what this creature is that is lying in the grass. Now, like I say, if that was a young impala, it would be in a bit of trouble. But isn't this incredible? This is by far the best jackal sighting I've had ever, I think. I have seen little tiny baby jackals at a den, which was really quite something. But this is insane. Oh, we've got now an interested jackal. The impala is not so sure about all of this. He's not sure about being surrounded, I don't think. Oh, there we go, he's lost interest. But wasn't that amazing? And typical young jackals, they are now following behind to see, what are you doing here? Who are you? Can we maybe play? That's amazing. Now this is one of the things about the Sabi Sands that always gets me, is that the Sabi Sands, we tend to get so many sightings where there's interaction. So yes, maybe we sometimes don't see as many of a certain species as in some of the other reserves in Africa, but we get a lot of this kind of stuff where we get interaction. Well, if you're not going to play with me, Mr. Impala, I'm going to play with my stick. So that's what that little one did. It just picked up a stick and was dragging it around. But we get these kind of situations where you get these inexplicable sort of sightings where these animals come together, and you wouldn't think that an impala and jackals would be so interested in one another, but clearly there you can see they've spent a lot of time together. Isn't that amazing? And now there's the impala's just wandered off into the background. That's absolutely incredible. Now, I think somebody's trying to call me on the radio, so maybe I should chat to them. I've been... Right, we're going to carry on with our day. This has been absolutely incredible, so we're going to leave the jackals to peace and let them carry on. And while we do that, let's go across to Byron, who's got something infinitely larger, and in a journey together.
Yes, Tristan, we've got a whole group of giraffe, a journey of giraffe here. 8 of them, in fact, all spread out around. It's so nice to see so many giraffe. I can hear a lot of elephant in the distance too, and I saw their tracks earlier. Maybe we see them too. I'm so happy you got to see the 4 side-striped jackal. That's a lovely sighting. You can hear these elephants trumpeting in the drainage line not far from us. I can't see them from here. I can just hear them trumpeting. But look at all these giraffe. Different ages, different sizes. The youngsters over there. And then a few oxpeckers on them. Obviously, there's always oxpeckers in the giraffe. And then just have a look at the back right. There we go, just under that tree. That's a big male that's feeding in there. But I just saw his head earlier. You can see it's a male, but also he's very, very dark. Have a look at his pattern and skin color compared to the rest of them. It's not just because he's standing in the shade, but he is much, much darker, almost black in color, parts of his body. And that's usually, genetically, some giraffe are just darker than others, and occasionally, or usually rather, the older males tend to get a lot darker. So that is why that is. Oh, lovely seeing this giraffe walking. We're just in front of Tayla camp. You can see the camp in the background. Here they go. Oh, something startled that giraffe. Not sure what that was. Is there something in the grass there maybe? I wonder if it is a snake, perhaps. I don't know. They're all staring now into that one little spot in the grass, but there are a few birds that have flown around. Usually birds will alarm call at a snake that's out in the open like that, but I don't know, mate. These elephants are really trumpeting a lot behind us. They are making a lot of noise. I'm not sure what that giraffe was, or what that giraffe got a fright about. It's only the one that is staring down into the grass. Others don't seem too phased. Let's see when these youngsters walk past. No, there's definitely something there. Okay, I'm going to now go and investigate. Let's see what it is. Perhaps it's a snake. Let's go have a look. I thought maybe there was just one paranoid giraffe, but there's definitely something around there. But the problem is now this grass is so long. Looking very, very carefully. Obviously don't want a snake to rise up next to the vehicle if it was a snake. I cannot see anything. I'm having a look here, but I can't see anything around here. That's interesting. Strange behavior. Now, let me just have a look here quickly. Oh. Okay, let me just have another look here. I wonder, there's a little hole down here. I wonder if there wasn't anything that was in there. No, I don't see anything, so I don't know if it was just paranoid giraffe or if they saw something that's possibly gone down into a hole. But I don't see anything around here now. I'm going to see if I can find those elephant that are making all that noise. And while I head over there, Tristan's got a big surprise for you.
We do, everybody, and happy Catterday from the Wild Earth team. As you can see there, look what we have. We have a whole bunch of lions lying on the nice warm tarmac on this very cold, blustery morning. And isn't that a nice surprise? So what we have is the Styx with 2 little cubs, so 2 females from the Styx. And then there's Nena in the middle there. That is one of the Birmingham boys. He's busy having a very big nap. And then to my... Oh, look at all the swallows, Dave. Look at that. It's amazing. There's a whole flock of swallows over these lines. I cannot tell you how amazing this looks. There's just thousands of birds, lions, grey clouds, windy. It is quite a scene that is here at the moment. Absolutely spectacular. Wow, you can hear the swallows. Listen to them. So these are all the barn swallows, and I think they're gathering to start heading back north again. These guys are going to be going up into southern Europe and North Africa, so they are gathering with this change of weather before they start heading back. But look at that picture. Isn't that amazing? Now, I know they are lying on tar, which is not the best part of it, but those sort of dead trees in the background, the lions all lying there, the grey clouds, it is really very, very, very special. Now, these are not the only lions that we actually have here, which is quite cool. Over my shoulder, which behind me that way, we have, in the grass there, you can see Birmingham number 2, which I'm not sure which one it is yet because of his head, and Birmingham number 3. So I said this morning I wanted to see all 4 Birminghams together as a third option, and I suppose 3 out of 4 is not a bad way. And if we throw the 2 Styx in and 2 cubs, I suppose that makes another Birmingham, so we can just call it that we saw all of them. And it is a spectacular sighting. I'm very, very, very chuffed that we managed to catch up with all of them, and they all look as though they are quite sleepy. The Styx have nice full bellies, which means that I don't think they're going to go anywhere today. So this afternoon I'm definitely going to come back here, well, this evening should I say, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more action out of them. But isn't this amazing? So, like I say, it is Catterday, and I don't know if there's a better way with 3 big male lions, 2 little fat cubs, and 2 beautiful females. So for all of you out there that always celebrates Catterday with us, it would be nice to hear from you. And we can send through any sort of comments that you have or questions that you have about them to #SafariLive, and we'll answer all your Catterday questions. James, well, I don't know if I've ever got all the Catterday luck, but I suppose we have. I mean, that Jackal sighting was absolutely incredible. These swallows are quite something too. The massive swallows that is on this runway that keep flying over these lines is really incredible. And then to top it all off, to have the lions lying around and the Birminghams. I actually can't remember the last time I saw more than 1 Birmingham. I was telling Dave that I haven't seen a Birmingham boy this month, and I've only seen one Birmingham boy in my entire time at Safari Live. So that is now 2 months, and I've only seen 1 sighting of a Birmingham boy. I've followed their tracks a lot, but I haven't seen them, which is really a bit disconcerting. So I'm so glad that I've actually got to catch up with him. Now, the one that is lying in amongst those lions and behind this reclining lady of leisure is Nena, which is my favorite of the four of them. He is a beautiful male. He's got a really incredible mane. His mane tends to stand really tall. It's interesting because most of the lions that I've seen that have had really long manes, particularly on top of their head, the mane tends to flop and tends to fall a little bit, whereas his is almost straight up, like somebody has permed his head and permed his hair, and he's got this kind of big sort of mane that fluffs out off the top of his head. So he's really is my favorite of the four of them. Now I'm hoping that maybe Mfumo is here as well, because I haven't seen him. The last time I saw Mfumo was when he had that massive gash underneath his eye, and that must have been in October, maybe somewhere around there, September. So I haven't seen him since then. So I'm really dying to see what he looks like and how much bigger he's gotten. If the other Birmingham boys are something to judge by, he's definitely put on a bit of weight. But those little cubs, look at them, they are absolutely comatose. And with bellies like that, no wonder. Look at the size of that tummy. It is bulging. And look at that. There you go. You can see that tummy is huge. Now there is one Styx female missing, and I'm sure she's with her cubs. Remember, the Styx have new cubs. We haven't seen them yet, but they were born just before Tropical Storm Djuma, so that was when? Beginning of the month? Somewhere around there. So they're still very, very little, and that's why they're not with the pride yet. They're not moving around. So you'll find that that female probably ate with these adults and with the cub, and then now she's gone back to her cubs to go and suckle and provide some nutrients for them. So that's why she's missing. But those little cubs look really good, considering that they've had this main story, and the Styx were the subject to a lot of controversy. In fact, sorry, there's the third female at the back. I don't even know why I'm saying there's only two females. There's all three are here. Sorry about that. Completely forgot there was one lying behind the Birmingham. She's kind of hidden behind there, but now I see her tail sticking out. There we go. So they have had this whole saga with the mange, and you can see the adult females are looking healthy. I mean, they've really bounced back quite well, and so have those cubs. Those cubs are not looking nearly as bad as what they were. And these are the new sets, so this is not the ones that really suffered from the mange during the drought, but they did have it for a little bit, and they really don't look too bad at all. In fact, they look really good, and when their tummies are really full like this and we're getting rainy conditions, that can only mean positive signs for these cubs, which is really good. So I'm super glad about that. The Styx pride needs a bit of a break in their luck. They need to be able to start producing some cubs, because otherwise shortly they're going to disappear. Michael, you're wondering if I know the ages of the Styx Lionesses. Michael, I'm actually not sure. The Styx Lionesses, I used to know them very, very well, and then we kind of went through a period where there was a bit of chaos. Lots of the members were lost, and since then I actually am not sure, but I can kind of roughly guess the ages. There's one of the females is quite old, so she's must be, I would say, 10, 11, and then she's got another female that they tend to stick together, and that she must also be quite close to that, about 9 or 10, I would imagine. Both of them are quite heavily scarred around the faces. They've got quite tatty ears, so they would be about that age. And then I think there's one that's a little bit younger at around 8, but I'm sure some of the viewers will be able to help me and will know the exact ages of these Styx Lionesses. During my time at Simbambili, I hardly saw them, to be honest. We saw them very, very seldom. Most of what we saw was the Salala pride, so I kind of lost contact a little bit with the ages and who exactly is alive at this stage and how old they are. But I would imagine they're between sort of 8 and 10, 8 and 11, all three of them. But that is, I suppose if it's a windy, cloudy day, this is perfect weather to have a nap. White Lady Irwin, you're wondering if the lioness closest to me is pregnant. Well, no, that is just a tummy full of meat. So she's absolutely massive because they've eaten something. So whatever they ate, it must have been fairly reasonable, because you can see even the Birmingham Boy's got a slight bump on his tummy. So I reckon they must have killed something quite big. I don't know if anybody's actually seen our zebra that was injured. I wonder if maybe they didn't grab that zebra and ate that last night and then finished it off, because the tracks for the males come from Gari Dam. 2 males walk past there, so that's the 2 that are probably lying off to the side that joined. But maybe these guys found our zebra and ate it. Would be enough to fill all of those bellies, that's for sure. But isn't that lion absolutely magnificent? Look at his mane, and look at how it's starting to go dark. You can see one of the telltale signs that, well, one of the ways I always identify Nena is with his black stripe down the middle of his head. Although he seems to have gotten quite a few scars recently, but he's got that black sort of mohawk stripe down the head. That always is quite useful for me. But his whole mane has darkened considerably since the last time I saw him. He used to have a very blonde mane, but it's now gone a more ginger color, and you can see around the chest area it's even starting to go a bit darker as well. So we're going to sit here and we're just going to enjoy this beautiful sight of these lions all together. And while we do that, let's go across to Miss McCurdy and see what she's up to.
We are finding things that have died this morning, and look what I have here. Look at that. This, of course, is unmistakable and is the pincer of a scorpion. Well, it was a scorpion. Now, we try to look for tracks as to see exactly what had killed it last night, but because of the wind and the sand is quite fine here on the ground, it's sort of blown the sand around a bit and covered all the tracks. But it could be anything. It could be a water thickney, it could have been a bronze courser, it could have been a honey badger, a white-tailed mongoose, anything along those lines would have snatched up a scorpion. But I suppose these pincers are not, well, really that edible, not that tasty, so what's the point of eating it? Often they'll leave the sort of claws behind, and then as well as the venom sac and with the stingers too. They don't normally eat that. It depends if it's a small scorpion or not. Or we didn't find much of it. This is actually all that was left, which was quite interesting. Now we popped onto quarantine. The reason why we've come here is because I wanted to see if I could pick up any zebra tracks on the ground to see if we could follow up on our dear friend, but it seems as though she's not here at the moment. But hopefully we'll pick up some more and see where she's gone off to. We're going to keep searching for our dear friend, the injured zebra. I'm going to send you across to Byron, who has found himself an elephant or two.
Well, we've got a wonderful herd of elephant that we've managed to find, and they're all parading past us. I'm just sitting quietly at the moment because they're following one another. I'm not sure where they headed to, but they're all walking past. Quite a few different ages, some young ones, and all these females that are in the herd. Look at that. Isn't that great? Hello. Must be about 20 elephant or so that have already passed us, but some more are coming. This is very special. We've positioned ourselves so that they actually just approached us. So that's why they're so happy to just move past, but still keeping our voices down so we don't make too much noise, so that they feel comfortable. Oh, do you hear that? It's just all vocalizing, communicating with one another. There are a lot of elephant around at the moment, because I heard, I could hear these elephant actually probably a few hundred meters away. There's another herd, and then we saw more elephant on the other side of the drainage line. So there's a lot of elephant moving through these areas at the moment. I think that looks like the whole herd has passed us. I'm going to see just where they are going. The thing is, there's so much water around at the moment, a lot of little dams and water holes, so they don't necessarily have to just head into an area to look for water. I think they're possibly just going looking for food, maybe trying to head into a nice area where there's long grass or some nice vegetation to feed on, maybe specific trees that they're looking for. Let's just see, it looks like they've headed down towards the drainage line. Batten's cockatoo, you wanted to know if elephants create or have territories. Not necessarily, they don't, and not really, not elephant. Elephant will move through areas, constantly feeding and looking for food. You may get to see obviously a herd that stays in a specific area, but it's not a territory as such. They're not territorial. Big bull elephants will move and cover huge distances looking for females to mate with females from different herds. Herds of elephant will move through areas depending on the season. They will so not territorial at all. But like I say, you might still get a few elephant that hang around in an area for a period of time. But I think that's probably got to do just with the amount of food and water that's around. They've all moved down to the drainage line. I can't see them anymore. They've gone and crossed, it appears. What a lovely sighting. So nice to see them and have them walk past us, and to hear that vocalization, that calling right next to us. It's a wonderful, wonderful sound. We'll see if there aren't a few stragglers that are following the herd. Perhaps there's one or two behind, but it's a very big herd. I've seen elephant tracks all over these roads at the moment this morning. And while we were sitting watching those giraffe, we could hear elephant calling in different areas. So this herd, and then there's definitely another herd that we saw further back, and I heard some further east of where we are now. So there's a lot of elephant around. Yeah, I can still hear them trumpeting every now and then, but can't see them now. They've moved off quite far. Just crossed through that thick drainage line. Occasionally all that trumpeting, I mean, it's often if elephants, okay, if they see animals and especially predators, they'll make a noise, they trumpet and they'll chase them away. But it could also be some of the younger elephant that are playing, chasing one another, or when the young elephant are still trying to suckle from the mothers and the mothers are weaning them, the youngsters do get quite aggravated and they'll trumpet and make a loud screech or scream because the females aren't giving them the opportunity to suckle, and they get very upset. Cockatoo, that's an interesting question. You wanted to know if elephants are sensitive to any, some more elephant over here, there we go. If elephants are sensitive to any seismic activity. Now, Batten's cockatoo, I'm not sure. I'll tell you why I don't know. Okay, well, firstly, here in southern Africa, we actually don't get much seismic activity at all. Now and then, maybe an earth tremor, but in this part of South Africa, since I've been coming here for years and worked here for years, I've never felt an earth tremor or anything like that in this part of South Africa, not at all. So I don't know, but the elephants do have sensors in their feet. They pick up vibrations through their feet, And that's one of the ways the elephant actually communicate with each other. With those low-frequency vocalizations, which some people often mistake for stomach grumbles, it's not the stomach at all, it's a vocalization, but it sounds like a grumble. And that sends off a vibration, which elephant can pick up through their feet, and that's how they do communicate with one another. So having said that, I would suspect that if there are any earth tremors or seismic activity, the elephants would pick it up definitely. But so would probably any of the animals. I don't know to what extent though, and I don't know, if they're able to pick it up from long distances away. And again, the reason is we just don't get that much seismic activity here, so I'm not sure. Interesting question, but I would guess that because of those very sensitive feet, that they definitely will pick up on the vibrations. I'm just going to reverse quickly a second. Let's have a look at this elephant drinking. Praveep, you would like to know what the elephant's most acute sense is. Is it the sight, the smell, or the hearing? I would say their smell, their sense of smell is probably the most acute and the most sensitive. And I just say that because I've seen their eyesight is also it is good, but it's not nearly as good as their sense of smell. Their hearing is also good, but again not as good as their sense of smell. One of the main reasons I say this is I've viewed elephant on foot many times, and it's so funny that as soon as the wind changes, so you can be kind of making a noise or whispering or talking not too far from them, but if the wind changes and your scent gets blown towards them, or they pick up on your scent in the wind, then they react very, very quickly. And you see how they use their trunks constantly. They'll lift their trunks and wave them around. They also, if they see you in the distance, they lift their trunks up and they'll point it towards you. And that is so they can try and smell what you are. Are you a danger? Are you a threat? So they do use their sense of smell, probably more so than the other two senses. Because even if they can't see, at least they can smell. That's a beautiful bull. Wow, some wonderful tusks on him. See as he comes through behind that tree. Oh, look at that. Wonderful set of tusks. I wonder if he will stop to have a drink or just continue. Now, young Nico, the average speed of an elephant, I think they can reach a speed of about 40 kilometers an hour, maybe 45 kilometers an hour. So what is that? 25, 30 miles an hour, I think. No, less. It'll be less than that, I think. What is it? 15 to 20 miles an hour, probably. Somewhere around there. No, I think I'm right. I always get confused with the conversion, so excuse me. But maybe about 20 to 30 miles an hour, about 40, 45 kilometers an hour, which is very fast for a large animal like that. Now, these last few that we saw were young bulls, and they following that herd. The last one was a larger bull, so he's possibly trying to catch up to that herd of elephant and see if whether or not some of those females might be in estrus. So often you get these bulls that start following the herds like this, And maybe that is why that herd was moving so quickly, because female elephant can get a bit nervous when bulls just show up, and especially if there are youngsters around, and that could also explain some of the trumpeting. So that could also be one of the reasons why we've seen this behavior now. That was lovely. I'm going to continue. The elephants have moved off. Let's head back to Tristan and the lions and see what they are up to.
It's very cool. Well, they've all just popped up their head because the sun has come out and it is absolutely spectacular. It is beautiful. The lions are lying on this tarmac. The sun is out. These clouds are in the distance. It is just a really beautiful morning. So I think these lions are not going to stay too much longer on this runway because it's starting to get quite warm in the sun. So I reckon that you'll find that as the sun goes, there we go. You can see it already. They're starting to stand up. There's one female that's up already, and she's looking as though she's going to start moving and trying to find a little bit of shade. But isn't this just spectacular? What a way to end our sunrise safari on Catterday, to have all the Birmingham's boys with the Styx girls. Very, very cool. And they look really amazing, don't they? They are full, they're healthy. Birmingham boys are looking very good as well. Look at that. His mane is absolutely incredible. Of the four, he's really got the nicest looking mane. And isn't that the most regal pose? Facing into the wind, his mane blowing in the wind. Absolutely incredible. Well, what we're going to do is I'm just going to try and reposition just so we can ID the other two males that are behind us, so that you guys get a chance just to see who we have here. Like I say, I will come back this afternoon to try and catch up with all of these lions and see what they get up to. But let's have a look. I think we've got Mfumo right at the end, and then I can't see if this is in Nsuko or Tinyo that is right close. In Suku, sorry, not in Suko, in Suku. Sorry, James, please don't shout at me. So James is the one that teaches us all of these words and makes sure we pronounce things properly. So Tinyo is who we've got here, so Nsuku is the one that is missing at the moment. But you can tell it's him just because of his lip. His lip is slightly up because he's missing that tooth, so we know that it's him. And then I can already see that it's Mfumo in the distance there because he's got a cut out of his ear. Are you tired, my boy? Did you walk a long way? Now I think these two that are lying off to the side are the ones that walked past Djuma last night and all the way to here and then joined up with the rest of them. That's why I think they're ready for a nice nap. Also, you can see they're being blown about by wind at the moment, so they just curled up into tight little balls, making sure that they stay out of the wind and have a nice rest. But what an absolutely incredible last hour we've had from those jackals with that Impala and these two males, and then the male with the pride has been absolutely incredible. So we've had a really great morning. I hope all of you have enjoyed it too, but it's unfortunately that time of the day where we are going to say goodbye and send our farewells, but we will see you this afternoon on our sunset safari, and like I say, we'll be coming back to the lions and see what they get up to. So from myself and Dave, it's been lovely having you. Hope you have a wonderful day wherever you may be, and we'll see you this afternoon.